Okay, what is up, everybody? It is your boy Farai. Thank you once again for tuning into another video. So today I just feel like really chopping it up with you and talking about my favorite style of plugin. I'll be running through kind of like a brief history of why I like this plugin, as well as why I think you should start to look at audio in this way that I'm looking at it. I became very inspired after finding out certain things, and it's really carried me forward in my young career. So if you're into that, stay tuned and let's get it. So, the plugin type company, which I'll be talking about, or the heritage more so, is Solid State Logic. Now, why do I like them so much, man? I think the first time that I stepped into a real recording studio, a massive recording facility, they had an SSL6000E series, all right? Now, if you are young, or a bit younger than me, I'm only 24, and you've never been to a big studio or something, you might not see the value in one of these things. It might not mean anything to you because you've come up in an age of parametric EQs, and I did too, up until the point where I stepped in the studio and I heard what these machines could do. It was like my mind was blown. It was like from that day on I wanted to get sound to pop out of speakers. Do you know what I mean? If I had not sat behind this mixer, as a little intern guy, and just being able to sit there and listen to this guy, and it was Aaron Bastinelli. You can go and Google him. He now runs his own studio, from what I see on Google. But, just watching him work was like insane. Like the way he would EQ a kick drum and then the kick drum would just pop out of these speakers, it was insane. And it made me deep dive into Google, and just start reading about this SSL console. What the hell is this, right? And then I came across all these consoles, and you start realizing that, pretty much every big time studio has one of these consoles sitting in front of them. And it's just like, it's insane. I mean, you can buy one of these secondhand. These consoles were coming out in the 80s and 70s, and they're still going for pretty much full price, right? There's a reason why. There's just so much beef, going on. I mean, we can hop on eBay as well. Hope I'm not logged in here. I'll have to blur my name out there. But, I just scan the internet for cool stuff, and just learn more about bits and pieces of gear. SSL is just this deep history of all different types of gear. And the more I research this stuff, the more I learn about plugins, right? Because then you realize, okay, well, this plugin is modeling this console, so then you start reading about that console, and then you realize that there's a certain sound to that console. And, for people who feel like, oh man, my music was always missing something that the pros have, it's because they understand the importance of all of these different kind of historical parts of the different software, and you learn how to use and make use of certain types of things for certain types of sounds. So for example, my everyday plugin is this one, which is the native SSL plugin, which is modeling, I think, a 9000 series of this console. But some days I might go for this one because it's got the G series sound. Now I know for you, if you don't know about these plugins, you might go, I don't understand the difference. Now, the best advice I can give you is just to download a free one and just start messing with it, and save up for that Waves SSL plugin. I think, did I have Waves open? Yeah, $99, man. I mean, you might go, okay, $99 is a lot of money, but then, you can spend $2,000 on this, or you can spend, $45,000 on a console, and the maintenance and upkeep of these things, man, cost way more than $100 a month. I mean, we're talking about $400, $500 to keep this thing on a month. The electricity requirements are insane. So the point is like the fact that I can buy these pieces of software and get a somewhat similar sound, to me, blows my mind. All right, and that has made me a better mixer because I really push the software. I learn the software. It makes me value what is in front of me much more than just kind of slapping any old plugin. Not that there's anything wrong with this plugin. You can see I'm using it right now, but it has a certain job. So for example, my main vocal chain has this on, and my beat has this on. So essentially, I'm copying the same style as what's always traditionally been done. Because if I was to pull up a session, hey, I'm putting up the beat on channels 1 to 8, all the tracks, putting up the instruments, and then I'm putting up the vocals and I'm mixing, all right? I highly recommend you hop on YouTube. Let's just kind of hop on YouTube right there real quick, and we can go SSL mixing console, and then you can just deep dive, man. Spend your weekends just learning about all these different types of guys buying these consoles and using them. This guy as well, he is the bomb, man. I would highly recommend you go watch this because he's using an AWS console, I think. It is a much newer version, but it still has that sound. You can go and watch this guy talk about, each and every type of module on the console. I will run through if you'd like, if you got some time to stick around, you know, each little module. I mean, for example, here, you know, the way I start working on these consoles is it always starts from top to bottom or from left to right. So what you'll start off with is your filter section. From there on out, I usually like to clean up the beat, clean up the vocal. Let's just pop up the one on the vocal because I'm using it a lot more. You know, I always start off with the high pass section, clean up all the mud, and then I start doing a bit of EQ, you know. So from there on out, I'm doing a bit of EQ. So what I'll do is I'll bypass this one I have, and then we'll start off fresh with this console. And then you can kind of see how I'd work, right?
Stripes like Adidas, I don't wear no fila. Cooling in the cut, yeah, and I got my feet up. Says you wanna me, baby, I don't wanna. I just want the commas, I'm rolling marijuana. I can tell you lying, boy, you capping. I think that I'm Goku, cause I'm straight snapping. Kinda hunted up, yeah, then I do my dance. I might book a flight and I might just go to France. I could never love a baby, I don't do romance. Counting up a check, baby, think I am Young Vance.
You know what I mean? So that's generally how I'd work. So I don't generally use this Brainworks too much because I prefer the sound of this one. I just think this one hits closer to home. But the beauty of all of these plugins is that everyone sounds different, so everyone can be used for a different type of job, you know. And that's the beauty of all of this stuff, man. You don't have to have a paid version. As I say, I've used the Solid4010 as well, which is a free EQ version of the SSL, the DDChannel as well. You know, but the thing to have in mind is, like, picture yourself really using one of these consoles, you know, and learn the history behind it. Do a deep dive on YouTube where you watch, you know, Erico work on an SSL, you know, and from there on out, you're going to be inspired, hopefully, to go and find out what your favorite console is, you know. So for example, you might hop on the Neve wave. You might like the sound of a Neve. You could type in a Neve mixing console, you know. So we could go for the Neve sound. The Neve has an entirely different sound, you know. Just my point of this video, really, it's random, I know, but it's just to really start studying, you know, the different companies that made it big in like the 60s and 70s and 80s, because you will start to see that those companies are still so influential to the game today. You know, I mean, why have I got this in front of me, right? You know, these products have stood the test of time. So if you can mix together that analog heritage, right, with all the digital stuff, you're going to get a really nice mix. You know what I mean? And I think you're going to start filling up all the empty spaces in your mix that you may find is lacking, you know, and you'll start learning about different techniques, parallel compression, how people parallel compress on SSLs, and then you start doing that in your sessions, you know, because the way I set up my sessions is I've got all my channels and then I've got all my groups, you know what I mean, and I've got my effects sends, you know, and that's just following traditional analog heritage, you know what I mean. So yeah, man, I don't know what much more to say. I don't have a video idea today, but I woke up like super late. I worked pretty late last night, so, you know, hopefully you enjoyed this video. Smash like, ask a question in the comments, and I'll check you out next time. Peace out.